It's a great privilege to represent part of the Latrobe Valley in this federal parliament. And in addressing my remarks today, I want to pay my respects to the workers in the Latrobe Valley that keep our lights on, that keep our businesses running, of those once 4, now 3 coal-fired power stations. We had Hazelwood, Loy Yang A, Loy Yang B and Yallourn. Hazelwood closed a couple of years ago. It was run out of town by the Victorian state government, which tripled coal royalties overnight. We now have 3 power stations in Loy Yang A, Loy Yang B and Yallourn. And Yallourn, of course, is scheduled to close in 2028, Mr Deputy Speaker, and that's only 2 years away. Yallourn provide about 22% of Victoria's baseload electricity. And I have grave fears, Mr Deputy Speaker, that that 22% baseload electricity is going to be switched off overnight in 2 years' time, and we do not have adequate baseload capacity to replace it, thanks to the Victorian State Labor government. Thanks to the Victorian Energy Minister, Lily D'Ambrosio, who really doesn't like any form of 24-hour dispatchable power. She's driven a number of businesses in my electorate out of town, and I have really grave concerns for energy affordability and reliability after 2028. And that's why I'd like to see a gas-fired peaking plant in the Latrobe Valley that would be able to provide that continuity. AEMO forecast that the NEM are going to need 15 gigawatts of gas power over the next 20 years to hold up intermittent power. And so, I'm really proud to come from a region that grows, makes and manufactures things, that keeps the lights on. Those answers are above and below the ground. But in addressing my remarks on this bill, I do want to acknowledge the work over a long period of time by workers in the Latrobe Valley since the establishment of the State Electricity Commission, the real State Electricity Commission, that the inaugural chair, Sir John Monash, led, not the new SEC set up by the Victorian Labor government, which most of their employees, I think bar one, are all based in Melbourne. Now, the Coalition supports this bill, and we do so because it's practical, balanced and non-controversial reforms provide certainty for workers, provide certainty for employers and stability for an industry that has helped build modern Australia. At its core, this legislation establishes a voluntary pathway for employers to repay historical debts relating to unpaid portable long service leave levies in the black coal mining industry, which I come from a state that proudly has the largest single deposit of brown coal in the southern hemisphere, 500 years' worth on current usage rates. But this bill is dealing specifically with the resources in New South Wales, Queensland and other states. Importantly, these liabilities did not arise because businesses deliberately sought to avoid their obligations. Rather, they arose because of historical uncertainty around scheme coverage and interpretation, uncertainty that was brought sharply into focus through recent federal court decisions. And as a result, Mr Deputy Speaker, some employers suddenly found themselves exposed to large retrospective debts, liabilities that in some cases stretched back many years and carried potentially devastating financial consequences. Without reform, some businesses faced the prospect of immediate insolvency. Jobs were at risk, workers' entitlements were at risk, communities that rely on the coal industry were placed under a cloud of uncertainty. And as I share that great responsibility for representing the Latrobe Valley in this federal parliament, along with my friend and colleague, the member for Gippsland, I know very, very well that with that large quantum of heavy industry, so too goes an ecosystem of small to medium-run businesses that interact with those larger employers, and their future and their sustainability is just as much at stake with these decisions and these risks. This bill seeks to strike an appropriate balance. It protects workers, preserves entitlements, while recognising the commercial realities faced by employers dealing with those liabilities that were never intentionally avoided. Under the bill, repayment arrangements can be staged over 6 years, and employers who repay 80% of their liability may receive a 20% waiver. It's a sensible framework, and I think given the diversity of investment within our energy sector and the coal industry as well, ensuring that Australia's sovereign reputation as a safe, secure, stable place to invest is a very important imperative for all of us in this place. It allows businesses to remain viable, continue employing workers and continue contributing to regional economies while still ensuring those obligations are met. Importantly, the government has also confirmed that the Coal Long Service Leave Scheme is well placed to absorb these waivers without affecting levy rates or undermining the integrity of the scheme itself. Mr Deputy Speaker, long service leave in the coal industry exists for a reason. Mining is not an industry where people necessarily spend an entire career with one employer, although in my region they often do. And again, I want to pay my deep respect and acknowledgement of the many workers in the Latrobe Valley power stations who have started at one power station, moved to another power station or stayed with that one power station for their entire career. They are proud of what they do, they are proud of the contribution that they make, and that deserves the greatest respect. Portable long service leave recognises that the contribution is to the industry itself, not simply to one company, and it acknowledges the reality of life in mining communities and the unique nature of the workforce. The Coal Long Service Leave Scheme has a long history in Australia. It was established in 1949 and has been supported through Commonwealth legislation since 1992. Today, the scheme holds more than 71 million hours of long service leave on behalf of over 160,000 employees, including more than 65,000 active workers currently employed in the industry. That is a substantial national system supporting workers across Australia's coal regions. And when we talk about coal regions, it's impossible not to reflect on regions like mine in the Latrobe Valley, the Hunter region, and many other regions that are proud to support the ability to grow, make and manufacture things the broader Australian economy relies on. For more than a century, the Latrobe Valley's powered our state, and I know the same can be said for other regional communities across New South Wales, Queensland, previously South Australia. The discovery and expansion of that resource has transformed our economy, and I know many other economies across Australia. Mining and energy generation involves physically demanding, highly skilled and often dangerous work. And whether it's underground miners in black coal regions or workers operating in massive open-cut mines and generation assets like the Latrobe Valley, these industries have always depended on hard-working, highly skilled Australians willing to undertake difficult jobs in challenging circumstances. And those workers deserve respect. They deserve support. Communities where generations of Australians have worked shifts through nights, weekends, public holidays to ensure homes had electricity, industries had power and businesses could operate. And I know there's that sense of pride in the Latrobe Valley where generations in one family, I was talking to the daughter of someone who herself is now working in one of the power stations. Her dad worked at the same power station. There's a great sense of pride and responsibility about the contribution that generations through those families make. In regional Australia, industries like coal are not just economic sectors, they underpin entire local economies, and they support cafes, mechanics, sporting clubs, schools, community groups, and small businesses. A few years ago, when I was CEO of the Committee for Gippsland, I actually did a study of the small to medium enterprises attached to just one power station, and I came up with a list of about 250 small businesses in the Latrobe Valley, from the car dealership to the news agent that would sell newspapers to the tea room every day, to the dry cleaner, to the local sandwich shop that would do catering. All of those small businesses are connected to that broader quantum of larger industry. And it's not just confined to the power sector. I know that, for example, there's many outage workers that go between the power stations and Australian Paper's pulp mill doing outage work. And if you take one of those out of the region, then you disrupt that whole broader economy of SME businesses, of contractors who bring highly skilled, highly paid jobs and discretionary income as well to those communities. And it's not isolated just to energy and coal. We've seen that with the timber industry as well, and the devastating impact that the Victorian State Labor government have had on closing the native hardwood timber industry in regions like mine. So when uncertainty hits the industry, the effects are felt far beyond the mine gate. And that's why legislation like this matters. It's about ensuring that workers' entitlements remain secure, while also ensuring businesses remain operational and communities remain economically stable. Likewise, the Australian Industry Group has acknowledged that many businesses were facing hardship and potential insolvency if historical levy debts had to be paid immediately. Importantly, they recognised that this bill needed to strike a balance between the interests of workers, employers and the long-term sustainability of the scheme. And I would add, our broader economic needs and imperatives as well that go into big decisions like this. And that balance matters. Good legislation is rarely about ideological slogans. Good legislation is about practical problem solving, and this bill represents the best elements of some of those goals around practical problem solving. It recognises that retrospective liabilities can create enormous commercial pressure, recognises that insolvencies would help no one. No one in those regional communities, none of the workers, none of the associated small businesses, certainly not Australia's sovereign investment reputation internationally, none of those country towns that rely very much so still to this day on those businesses. It recognises that workers lose when businesses collapse, and it recognises that protecting entitlements, protecting jobs must go hand in hand. Mr Deputy Speaker, Australia's black coal industry continues to play a significant role in our national economy. It supports tens of thousands of direct jobs and many thousands more indirectly. It contributes export income, regional investment and economic activity that many communities rely upon. And at a time when cost of living pressures are already placing a massive strain on households and businesses, when stability in major regional industries is unsure, legislation like this does matter. It doesn't mean ignoring change or pretending that industries evolve over time, but it does mean recognising and respecting the contribution that coal workers and coal communities have made and continue to make to this country. It means ensuring that workers who have spent decades contributing to these industries are treated fairly and have confidence in the systems designed to protect their entitlements. It strengthens the coal long service leave scheme, protects workers' accrued long service leave hours, it provides businesses with a realistic pathway to compliance. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, that is why I support this legislation.